Let's continue our conversation about succession planning here. I believe Fox News has a problem. Now, it is not a ratings problem or a revenue problem right now, but it could become one. For almost 10 years, right wing media has had a very easy business model, which is we have the patriotic president. And for the 4 years that Trump was gone and it was Biden, we need to get back to the patriotic President Trump. And then Trump comes back and then everything's good. And we want to be friends with the president and all of this stuff. So for about a decade, 11 years, something like that, Donald Trump has kind of been the organizing principle of the ecosystem of right wing media. Now, if you are a careful watcher of Fox News, as I consider myself to be, you have started to see, as we've covered, Fox is starting to question a little bit some things that they didn't have to before. And one of those questions goes back to the succession planning that the Republican Party is doing. What is going to be the media product after Donald Trump is gone? Fox isn't a political party, it's a media company. Profit is its goal. Media companies get really nervous when they depend on one personality. And you can see kind of some hints of this in the way that the network has evolved and changed over the years. Because remember, when Fox's biggest fear was Trump would abandon us and take his viewers with them. I almost forgot about this, but I was preparing for this segment, and there was a period where Donald Trump was regularly going out and saying, Newsmax is the best. Fox isn't treating me so nicely anymore. OAN, One America News Network, is the best. Fox isn't treating me so nicely anymore. And at the time, it really seemed as though Donald Trump had taken it as a personal goal to hurt Fox News and to push people to some other platform. I don't know if Trump even promoted Lindell TV, Mike Pillow Lindell. But the whole idea was we were covering it. It looks like Trump and Fox News are kind of at war. That completely reversed, totally and completely reversed. And Donald Trump has since become friendly again with Fox News. He'll occasionally say this report or that, or they quoted a poll I don't like, they shouldn't have fallen for it or whatever. But basically, the Trump revolt and the audience revolt have ended. Let me take a really brief detour. Remember the audience revolt? When Fox called Arizona for Biden back in 2020, some of the audience of Fox News also revolted. And they were furious. How dare Fox News call a state for the guy who won it? And that helped Newsmax and it helped OAN. And Fox learned something very important from that experience. And so Fox News has come to realize the audience isn't loyal to Fox first. They're loyal to the movement first. And if we are the stewards of that movement, good for us. But if all of a sudden we're not, and Trump or whoever is the dear leader says, try this other channel, that's a very dangerous position for Fox News to be in. So that all kind of gets us to today. And what Fox News now has to worry about is once Trump is gone, what happens if this movement fractures? Or if the next few years produce kind of competing versions of MAGA? Or what if the primary gets kind of ugly and complicated and what do we do? And there isn't a clear leader. That's a tough situation for Fox News because instead of serving one audience, they would have to figure out how do we serve 2, 3, 4 audiences who increasingly hate each other. You might have the pro-Trump people that like Vance butting heads against those who go, we need Rubio, not Vance. And so if you think about that, some of the recent programming decisions on Fox News start to make a little more sense because they are now interested in elevating ideas rather than personalities. It's less about follow this one person, but more about here's the movement, here's the ideology and the coalition. And that is a much safer, although I would argue, much less interesting place for viewers to sort of see, but it's a much safer place to be if you're a media company. A movement can survive leadership changes. A network built around one guy is very vulnerable to the fate of that one guy. Very quick interruption. A surprising number of people who watch these videos aren't subscribed on YouTube. If that's you, hit subscribe. It's free. It helps so much more than you might think. Let's get back to the clip. Now, we're singling out Fox because they're kind of the biggest and the most relevant to us, but media companies face these issues. I'm going to give you some examples that I think you'll find interesting. ESPN and the NBA after Michael Jordan. Okay, that's one example. More relevant. In 2016, there were a bunch of left-wing channels that rose only on the back of "we support Bernie. No one else is acceptable. If Bernie's not the nominee, I'm staying home." And then they essentially disappeared when Bernie was not the nominee. And I remember there was one woman in Massachusetts who had it was all Bernie all the time. And when Bernie wasn't the nominee, poof, she just disappeared. And there are a bunch of different examples of that. So this is a real situation. And if you're prepared before it happens, it's better than if you're not. And I believe Fox News is preparing right now. They haven't announced anything. They haven't announced we are now moving away from being a network based around the cult of personality of Trump. It's just their incentives are changing a little bit. And they've got a challenge long term that is no longer going to be we have to keep Trump happy. It's going to be we have to be the center of right-wing media when the next Republican Civil War starts. Everybody needs to want to come to us. One of the interesting things I spoke about with Tim Miller from The Bulwark last time we talked is the question of, is there a sort of tastemaker, agenda setter in the right now? And Tim Miller said there really kind of isn't. It's certainly not Ben Shapiro. It is not Sean Hannity. I don't believe it's Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is appealing to a particular wing of the right, but Tucker Carlson's not setting the agenda. And so what does Fox News do if this right wing splits into a bunch of different camps and they end up identified only with one of them? That's bad for business. They need to be a home for all of this insanity. And so we are seeing these subtle shifts in how they talk about issues and how they talk about people. Now, the smartest people running Fox know that it is not Democrats that are a threat to them. Because for as long as Democrats do stuff that Fox can criticize, that's great for Fox News. The threat to Fox is a conservative movement that fights with itself and says, a bunch of the factions say, Fox is no longer on our side. So they are now trying to get above the fight. They don't want to be trapped in the fight. And you can tell they have no idea who the leader of this Republican Party is going to be after Trump is gone. I'm not blaming them. I have no idea either. I don't think Republican voters know. But Fox News knows we've got to adjust before it's too late, and they're doing it already.